Okay.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Own Your Image, Effortless Style, Branding, and Extraordinary Confidence. I'm Deshante.
I'm Kanae.
And today we have a phenomenal woman in the building with us. Well, not in the building. We're all online, guys.
Yes.
But her name is Cheryl Verrett, and she is a reinvention strategist, a pastor, a life coach, a speaker, and a creator. She is known for equipping and empowering women to walk in their purpose, in their life's purpose. And she is just an amazingly powerful woman.
Well, thank you.
She's an author, as she's getting ready to release her new book in August 2020. The title is Life is What You Make It. So let's make the decision to make it the best life ever. Welcome, Cheryl Verrett.
Woo! Deshante and Christy, I have to tell you, I am so excited to be here with the two of you guys. I have to tell you, I am so proud of the two of you guys and where God has taken you and the favor that's upon your life. I've seen the journey. I see where you're going, and I just believe that your future is bright. And it is an honor and a privilege to be here on this webinar with you guys.
Amazing. Thank you
so much.
So we're going to ask you the very popular question. How has quarantine life been for you?
You know what? It's a two-part answer. So I believe that the quarantine, as for many people, it really has been a change. It's a pivot. It's experiences that I did not anticipate. It actually, I would say that it disturbed my normal. I didn't even realize I had a normal routine until this quarantine came and everything changed, right? And then as the quarantine was there, I began to realize what was inside of me, or what was trying to encroach upon my mindset, and how much I had to guard my mindset, because I'm a frontline worker, right? I am interacting with people all the time. We have this, all of us have the same cares as far as the mortgage, the rent, what's going to happen, what is next. And what I had to do is I had to just go ahead and remind myself, you know what, you are a child of the Most High God. You got this, and there is so much inside of you that people haven't even seen. There's a road, there's a journey that I believe that God has placed me on. And when I remind myself of who I am and who I belong to, it's all right. It's just a little pivot. And I believe what has changed for me is the fact that I had already placed his word inside of me. So when the issues of life begin to occur, and I never saw this, but I'm still okay. There's a scripture that I remember that's out of the book of Deuteronomy, and it says to be bold and of good courage. Do not fear, because the Lord your God is with you at all times. And so I just remember that it doesn't matter if I'm in the middle of a storm, coming out of a storm, or on the other side, that I am okay because he's with me and I'm in his hands.
Yes.
Love that.
That's
that.
So good.
Yeah.
Knowing that we're not alone in this.
Right.
Like we have each other, but most importantly, we have God.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it's just that in itself is enough to keep going.
Yep.
Yeah.
Amen. Yes. It's so important to put that information inside of you beforehand. Whether you're reading, whether you have a coach, whatever it is that you're doing, you need to go ahead and fill yourself up, because you never know when you have to pour out. Yeah. And that's why we're here. That's why we're supporting one another as ladies, as entrepreneurs, as creators, as coaches, as pastors, in order to give back and to be that light for such a time as this.
Yes,
really good. Really, really good. So tell us a little bit about your brand. My brand. You know what? My brand is one that represents boldness, courage, and chicness. I like to say it like that.
Yes.
Because I believe that I represent the everyday woman. I represent those who have been an entrepreneur. I represent those who have been without. My journey covers the spectrum, where I was a 21-year-old scared little girl pregnant by myself, getting ready to go off and go to college. I was that one who owned several businesses and actually was a part of a situation like this back in 2008, where my business was rocked. I put it, and then I had the bounce back. And all of my experiences came back to say, you might have gone through something, but it was for such a time as this. It is the reminder, the remembrance that you got this, I'm in his hands. And if he brought me forward through that before, he can do it again. And as I walk through with my brand, I want to represent those who are young, like I was, those who are in this season that I'm in right now, and those who are in between where you guys are. And because all of our experiences come together, and I just have so much, and my heart is for ladies. I want to equip, inspire, and educate wholeness in the life of women and their families. And I want my brand to represent that you could be bold, you could be courage, you be of good faith, and still have joy no matter what.
Yes, that was, whew,
Yeah.
that's a lot. That's good. That's really good.
Okay, good.
And you know, you're a woman on a mission.
Yeah.
And that's really important, especially in such a time as this, as you say, like we're all here together, here to support one another. We all have a purpose, and God created that purpose in us to be fulfilled.
Yeah.
So I do want to ask you, you know, through your journey, right? You're a brand that wants to represent boldness and courageousness and just a full embodiment of a very powerful, God-fearing woman. Can you think back to a time where that wasn't necessarily where you were going? And how did you get to the point where you are today?
That is a fantastic question, because I think that we're not asked that enough. We always see the end result of somebody, but you don't necessarily see the journey on how we actually got there. And my journey started years ago when I remember moving from the inner city to what we call the country and having a whole new different environment. And it was a day or a couple of days when I was riding on a bus, and there was a couple of friends of mine who were experiencing things that we as young ladies should never experience. The hardships, the heartaches, the heartbreaks, the sexual, the physical, the emotional abuses. And yet I saw them trying to struggle through the process. And I remember sitting on that bus as a young person, not knowing what to do, knowing that this wasn't right, knowing that other people knew about the situation, but watching my friends not have a voice and have to struggle through life because of what had been presented to them in their environment. And I remember the day where I said, you know what, this is enough. And I believe that God has called me to be the voice of ladies, to assist them to open up their mouths, to be able to communicate, to be able to walk and to stand even though they have been through something, because I know that that was not God's best. And I've seen too many of my friends who have gotten stuck in a situation of life circumstances such as what I've spoken of, and their voice was closed. And I believe that that was just a trick of the enemy. And I vowed to myself that I was going to be a part of the solution and not a part of the problem. I don't know if the adults around me didn't speak up because they didn't know how. I believe if you know better, you do better. Sometimes I don't know if it was the spirit of fear that was stopping them from speaking out. But I know when I got of age that I said that I would be the one who would speak out. And so it's not that I advocate for all women. I go around the world, as you guys know. I travel to the different countries and I speak to ladies. I speak to them at the different conferences and the websites and the trainings and all the different things. And it's not for me. It's because I want to be that light. I want to be listen, you guys, I want to be that light. You know, that light that you put on the side of the house. And when you start to walk, it just lights up and everything that begins to brighten up and you see everything. That is who I said that I would be. So it wasn't always this way, because at that time when I saw my friends experiencing the different challenges that were so hurtful, and I remember crying and being so full of pain for them, for them. And I said I would never allow that to occur on my watch, as far as not being able to help people go from one level to the next. And as a pastor, I go to all the different conferences, or I hold conferences or people come and counsel with me. And the thing that everybody has in common is pain. Mm-hmm. And that they've been through a struggle. And that is from the entrepreneur of a Fortune 500, to the scared little girl who's 21, all the way down to the kids that, I work with in foster care from every age. So I believe that as I teach people how to use their voice, how to communicate, how to stand on their past, how to stand on what they've experienced, then life is going to be better because their test is going to be their testimony. Mm-hmm. I got to tell you guys, the whole thing, when I was trying to put together my brand and who I am and my business and everything, there's this, I don't know if you guys have seen that pottery that the Japanese have, and was it a Tsugabi, I wrote it down because I always say it wrong, a kintsugi, Kintsugi. And it's this pottery that is put together by broken pieces. And what happens is when it's shattered, for example, they would get the powdered gold lacquer and they will fill in the spaces. So you don't have a smooth, beautiful bowl that looks like it's never gone through anything, but it's a bowl where you see that it has gone through something, and it's filled in with beautiful gold. And so when you look at it, it's now priceless. Now you see that it's gone through something, and the things that it's gone through is celebrated. And I thought, you know what, that is what my ministry represents. We've all been broken. We've all gone through something. And then when you put it all together, you stand on top of your journey and you like, look, I am transparent. This is who I am, but this is not where I'm going to stay. I'm going to the next level. You're unstoppable at that point. You're unstoppable. So all of that to say, hopefully that answered the question.
It did. And you know what? I think a really good nugget for us and for the audience is that you founded your brand through understanding others' pain, and something that pained you and something that moved your heart to move and create something. And I think that that's really important to note, because sometimes our brands, we will find what we want to do or the business we want to build or what direction we want to go in life through what pains our hearts for other people. And I think that's a really beautiful journey.
Our burdens that we want to, like she said, she wanted to find a solution to the problem versus being or becoming part of the problem. So like you said, that's super.
You know what? And coaching them through it. So that's the reason why I love being a life coach. That's the reason why I love being a pastor, because when you don't have anybody to bounce the information, your feelings, your thoughts, your concerns, then you believe that you're the only one, and that's not true. That's a trick of the enemy to keep you stuck and to keep whatever God has placed inside of you to remain in that pit. But when you begin to speak about it, when you begin to have a conversation about it, when you begin to own it, see, and there's tools that we have in order to help you just walk through the process so you can be strengthened, so you can take one step after the next, so that you can make it to the other side. We have to be able to be there to show people how to walk on that journey. And I just don't think we know how to do that, but we want to give you the tools to teach you how to go from A to B to Z to victory. Amen.
Amen. Yes.
So just speaking, we've talked a little bit about brand and the values. How do you think your branding or your values and how you move as a pastor affects your personal image?
That's a great question. I believe that I'm representing, as a pastor, I believe that I'm representing God at all times.
Yes.
So when I have my brand should show the light. My brand should show courage and boldness. My brand should show truth and integrity. My brand should show transparency. And that's what I endeavor to show. When I have on my website, when I'm showing the pictures, when I have my posts, when I'm out in the store, when I'm representing who I am, when I walk into a room, I want people to recognize that I'm a woman of God. I want them to recognize that there is something that is different about her. And then what is it? Why is it? Like for right now, why is it that she's still full of joy in the midst of a pandemic? Why is it that she is still holding on and speaking life and scripture and still motivating and coaching others in the midst of? That's because my brand is who I am. It's what I placed inside of me. It's the preparation that we do before the situation hits. And so as I read my word, as I study, as I read other books, as I prepare, as I spend time in the word and worship, then that is how I fill myself in. So when I need to pour out, I'm not depleted when I have to pour out in the midst of the pandemic or a storm or whatever comes our way, but I still have something left inside, which is still my voice and my testimony for where it is that I'm going and who I am. So my brand is, in my image, I represent it at all times as a pastor and as a woman of God. Now with that, I still think that as women of God, we can still be sexy.
Yes.
We can still represent God in such a beautiful way. We can still be fun and flirty. It's just not, we're just not doing it the way of the world, right? When they see us, I want them to see us. And the other part is a part of who we are as we're displaying our different emotions and parts of our personality with others.
I love that. So just speaking of your faith being such a big part of your brand and what you're building and what pushes you to move forward, there's others that are also have their faith a part of their brands, or maybe struggling with saying, how do I represent God who are, as I'm building my business? What would you say to them, or how would you encourage them to live in their truth?
You just said it, Deshante, live in your truth. Live with who you are. So we're talking about a brand of who are you? So as someone is starting a coaching business or any business, and they're trying to figure out how do they incorporate the word of God. See, there are different ways. We always think that there's one way that we display God. So I can get on here and I can share every scripture that's around. That's one way. There's another way of speaking. It's still speaking his principles, still holding on to his truth, still having his foundation inside of you without necessarily saying Deuteronomy or Hebrews or Genesis. We don't have to do that. We can speak, I call it speaking the message language, the message Bible language. It's speaking in everyday vernacular, but still saying the same thing. And I don't know if you guys have realized when people are coming up with these different motivational talks, when you go into the different programs, the principles are biblical principles. That's why they work. They just put them in a different form, but God's word remains the same. So I would say for the person or the people who are trying to develop a business and figure out their foundation, first, identify who you are. What's your stopgap? Where would you stop? How far would you go? We have to identify our different environments that we're working in. And so my environment is different than your environment than it is someone else's environment. And we have different people that are coming around us. So we would go ahead and say, okay, you know what, this, I won't go past here. I won't go past here, but I will always remain true to who I am. And I will always walk with the power and integrity that God has called me, because I need to be that light. My belief system is that if in fact we don't be the light, if we don't show that we're different, if we don't show the characteristics of God or of Jesus while we're in these different environments, who is the example? There's no example.
That's good.
So we have to be the example. And then we have to walk out our truth. Now, there's a way, and then I'm gonna close on this. There's a way to do it. There's a way of not just bashing somebody. I'm talking about celebrating people. I'm talking about honoring people, whether you agree with their belief system or not.
Right.
But you still remain true to who you are. Still loving. People don't know how much you know until they know how much you care. They don't want to know how much you know until they know how much you care, right? When you see them as a person, what I've realized, our church was diverse. The reason why I speak at diverse populations is because I see people. I see them. I see who they are. And then I celebrate them and I hear them. And I believe that people want to be seen. They want to be heard. And you know what you guys are talking about, the coronavirus and how things have changed. Now we all have to wear these masks, right? When we're out and about.
Yes.
And so I was speaking with PK the other day, and I was sharing that now we have to be intentional about paying attention to people, because you only see the eyes. How do you know if I'm frowning? How do you know if I'm angry or if I'm smiling? Because you really can't see unless you are actually paying attention to the people. And I'm hoping that as a result of this pandemic that's going on, that we will begin to look at people, to be able to see people. Now we're getting eye contact. Now, where the enemy's trying to keep us separated, let us reconnect in different ways.
Yes.
That's so good.
That is really good. I hadn't thought about what you said with the mask. That's true.
Yeah,
like,
that is.
You're having to, actually look at a person and see if they're smiling or looking your direction. Whereas before we were moving so swiftly and so quick, and things were just like passing us by, that we weren't necessarily seeing people. So that's a really good takeaway. So we're going to move in a little bit of a different direction, and we want to go more on the fashion side. And one of the questions we'd like to ask you is, do you connect with the message when you look better, you feel better?
Absolutely. Absolutely. You know what? It is nothing. See, we're ladies. It is nothing like putting on some heels or some makeup, whatever makes you feel good, right? And putting it on what makes you feel nice. I know sometimes when I don't feel my best, and it could be that my outfit isn't on correctly, I don't feel good. But when I think I have that outfit that is like, yes, or maybe those shoes or the jewelry or the hair or that certain lipstick or whatever, or the smell, I love smells too. And you pull all that together, you walk different. Your shoulders are back, your chin is up, right? Your chest is out, and you're like walking, like, I look good, I am fierce, I am slaying. Still representing Jesus, because we always represent Jesus, right? But it makes a difference. But it goes also deeper to that we still have to know who we are in the inside. There's some inside work that we need to do, because we may not always have the ability to display our beauty on the outside.
Right.
So let's make sure that we're filling ourselves up with good information, with the Word of God, so that we will know on the inside matches our outside. And then when it looks good, we're just even more fierce as we are walking in that room. And we're going to ask for that business. We're going to step up and say, you know what, I have a contract. Do you know who I am? My name is Deshante. My name is Christy. My name is Pastor Cheryl. And they're going to look at you because you already have that as you walk in, because you feel good.
Yeah. That's really good. So do you have any clothing items that are your favorites or your go-tos, or what clothing makes you feel more confident?
You know what? I love the winter because I love scarves. I love a scarf around, and I'm a touchy person. So I love materials. I love soft, fuzzy materials that are around, but I do like the silk. It depends on what we're doing, right? Because for me, what lays good on my body, for my body type as it's going through all the different changes, does it accentuate, does it feel good? Because I'm always touching, you guys will notice when I see you and I'll touch you when we're at church, and I'm like, how are you guys? Oh, that feels good. How are you? And I have to tell people, look, that's just my thing. But I love materials, and I love the way they flow and the different, as stylish, you guys get this, sometimes the styles and the cuts are a little different, and it highlights. It's something like, wow, let me take notice. We don't have to look the same. So I love scarves. I love heels. I used to love suits, but if you give me a good dress or the pants that kind of flow as I'm walking, and I'm doing oh man, I just think don't touch me.
What I love about hearing you describe all of these things, right? Because, we asked you if you connect with the message, when you look good, you feel good, is also knowing what you like and what you love, and knowing how important that is to who you are. Because like you said, there's certain pieces that when you put them on, you're like, okay, I'm ready for business. I'm about to get this versus something you may not. And just knowing that goes into knowing who you are and
Yeah.
then essentially owning whatever it is you're doing because you know these certain things about yourself. So that I think
Yeah.
for us, for the audience, is really important to start to pay attention to the things that you like,
Yeah.
that make you feel good, that give you a different type of posture.
Yep.
Yes.
End up taller.
Yeah, you
Train it.
know.
They're power colors. You guys know that, right? The colors that look good on your skin, you know, the different outfits. And I have to be very wise in the outfits that I choose when I'm going before my different audiences. Still want to look powerful, but some have different criteria. But yet I need to find something that works right for me. And when you guys styled me for the She Emerge conference, you couldn't touch me. I thought I was just on fire. But that's the power of feeling beautiful. When you feel beautiful like that, and you walk into a room, you walk different. And so we have to get that inner beauty to match our outer beauty. But while you're working on it, get some stylists like yourself to go ahead and put it together and make it work.
Yes.
You know, I love that you said that there was different audiences that you go before that you dress differently, and sometimes that's a struggle. Some for the audience and for those out there to kind of know how to dress before each audience, and sometimes people may feel like they're changing who they are because they got to go in front of this audience. How do you determine like what you're going to wear before an audience?
Hold on real quick, you guys. I just need to put this on. Sorry. Okay, ask the question again, you guys. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, ask me the question again.
How do you, I was saying you described that when you go before different audiences, you have a different look and you have different criteria for what you wear. Just for the audience, how do you determine what you wear before each audience and just feel confident no matter what audience you're going before?
Yeah, that's a struggle for me.
When I'm invited to speak or to coach or to minister, whatever the case is, then I ask the hostess or the host to tell me about the population. Tell me about your church. Tell me about your women's group. Tell me about this ministry, or tell me about the women that you've invited in order to be there. And that kind of gives me a feel for what they would like for me to, what the style is. Sometimes I go into some conservative environments and they don't like me to wear pants. So then I need to put on a fierce dress, because the word of God is still going to go out. I'm not going to not go because I'm not going to be able to wear my pants, right? Because then that will stop the word from going out. So what I do is I ask whoever has invited me, what is the dress protocol? Is there anything? What is the age, right? Sometimes that has something to do with how, just because my thing is, I want them to hear me and not be so focused on what I'm wearing. So let me go back. When I dress, and yes, I want to dress fierce and have all of that, but I also don't go so far as where they're looking at me and they're not looking or hearing the word that is coming from me. I don't.
Pastor, there is a sound interference that's happening.
You know what that is? My alarm at my apartment has gone off.
Okay.
This is a live show, you guys.
Yeah, sorry about that.
No worries.
Yeah. So you just want to make sure you know your audience. You want to make sure they hear you. If I walked into a young group and I was dressed really old, they may not hear me. If I went into an older group and I dressed really young, they may not hear me. You don't want them just to turn off before you even get on the stage, right?
Right.
So there's also a communication style as far as connecting with your audience and being able to talk to them and look at them and smile at them and let them see you in them, and vice versa, right? And so it's a whole thing of dressing, of presenting, of standing upright to be able to communicate verbally and non-verbally. But people watch on how you're dressed. They want to see. They want to know, are you connecting with me?
Right.
That's really, that's good. I didn't think about that, but
No.
yeah, really encompassing like where you're going and like
Mhm.
you said, you still want to be able to deliver the message. So even if there's some type of stipulation on how to dress, you want to find your style in that and still go deliver the
Yes.
message you need to deliver. So
That's so
yeah,
Yes.
that's
important.
important. That's important to note. So speaking of being confident and style, how did you find your overall confidence?
Yes.
And has it been a struggle for you?
Hmm. Yes, it's been a journey. I would say that it has. It has. Because there was also a time where I would have gone from a size 0 to a size 12. Or no, excuse me, I was a size 12 and I went down to a size 0. So I've been in both. When I was I was younger. So when I was size 12, my mom used to call me pleasantly plump. And I said, okay. But then, my friends didn't call me pleasantly plump. And I used to feel so bad when I would walk in, when I would see people Christy size walking in. I was like, because I was always the larger one in the group. And then I lost all the weight and that still wasn't good. So there was a struggle because then they would say, oh, I see your bones between, it was polyester pants back then. I am dating myself. And so I used to have to flare out polyester pants and my bones would kind of show on the side of my pants. And then people say, okay, now you're too skinny. There was a time when I had my hair cut and then they said, oh, you should have it long. I had it long. Oh, you should have it cut. And so all these different voices would come in from the people who I allowed to speak into my life. And it drove me crazy. And I didn't feel as cute. I didn't feel as sexy. Matter of fact, when I met past my husband, I used to wear overalls all the time because I finally got my body to where I thought it should be, but I didn't want him to want me for my body. I wanted him to want me for me. So I used to wear these big overalls. They were loose, they were comfortable. And he's, baby, will you stop wearing that? Put some clothes on. But you know what? It was a struggle. It's a struggle to feel sexy because you don't want unwarranted attention. It is a struggle to be overweight because the seats aren't necessarily set up for you or people look at you a certain way. When you're overweight, people automatically assume a certain personality about people. When people's hair is short, people's hair is long. And so all that to say, yes, I did, because I found myself at some points trying to say, as a young person, trying to fit in some different places, should I wear this outfit? Should I wear that outfit? Would I fit in? Am I too big or too small? And there was just one time where I said, you know what, this is enough. I'm enough. And I'm not going to allow the voices of other people to come into my mind to help me decide who I am. Where it was kind of like what you're talking about. What materials, what clothing makes me feel good? What makes me smile and stand up and sit up straight? What makes me me, aside from what other people were saying? And that was the difference. And the other part is when I was going through the struggle, I had to begin to say who I am, what God said about me. And I had to repeat that out loud. I had to remind myself. And then the last thing is I had to learn how to put together what I had, right? So everybody is different. Our bodies are different. Our facial features are different. Our hair, all that is different. So work with what you got. Put it all together and then walk with that confidence, because you know what people are like? People are attracted to? They're attracted to confidence.
Yeah.
People are attracted to that. It doesn't matter how big or how small, but when you walk in that room like you know who you are and you stand, you begin to speak, man, that is so attractive to me. And when I got that, I said, you know what, that means more to me than the rest of it.
Yeah.
Because I've seen beautiful people without great personalities.
Right.
And I've seen the opposite. And I said, Lord, just let me represent you and let me have my full personality that you gave me, not trying to look like anybody else, talk like anybody else. And when I received that freedom right there, oh, that was everything.
I love that. Were there some tools that you used to kind of get to that point? I know you speak about God, and was there any other tools or was there some evaluations that you had to do to kind of get to that point?
Yes, it sure was. Yes. You know what? I believe our life is a journey of self-work. And so when you identify the different areas of your life that you're lacking, that you're not as strong, that you wish to be strong, then what I had to do is I stopped and I had to take inventory of me. Where am I? And then where do I want to go? Talking about that base earlier, I had to acknowledge first, I believe the first tool is acknowledging where I came from, the experiences that I had, and how am I going to use those experiences to move me into my future. So then now in my future, and am I where I want to be? What am I feeding myself? Am I willing to stop, or is there more? And I believe that there's a beautiful, delicious future for us that is more. That means that I had to feed myself, which is what I started doing. So I read the Bible, I read spiritual things, I read self-edifying things, personal edification things. I went around people. I had to surround myself with people who look like, act like where I wanted to go.
Yeah,
I had to change some of my environments, which was hard at some times, you know. So it's hard letting people go, but sometimes you have to, or limit the amount of interaction that you have. And what I did, and I believe that we all need a coach in different areas. I believe that we need coaches in fashion, we need coaches in life, we need coaches in business, we just need some people who have gone through some things, who is ready to say, I'm gonna be transparent, this is what I went through and here are the tools. So I took inventory, I looked at my past, I looked at my present, and then I looked at my future. Where do I want to go? And then I began to walk in that future, and I began to be focused, and I had to make goals. I had to look at was I going to be? Where did I want to end up, right? And then I had to work backwards to where I was right now. And I had to put some steps together in order to say, so now this is where I ultimately want to be. Now I want to come on back. Now, how do I get there? And then if my invitations, or if my to speak somewhere or to participate in something didn't line up with what God had called me to do, what was on my path, I had to say not right now. I had to put it on the shelf, and I had to be okay with saying no. And then I had to be okay with jumping in and saying yes, doing it afraid. Sometimes I would say, God, this is where I want to go. This is what you've called me to do. And then I get the invitation, and then I'll go, oh my God, then I'm calling out, because it happened, right?
Yeah.
So why was I surprised that it happened? So if I asked him for it, and that's who he called me to be, then I know when I step out on that stage and I start moving towards what he's called me to, then all the resources that I need in order to help me accomplish that goal, the people, the favor will begin to follow me, because I'm walking in direct alignment with my ultimate goal and purpose in life.
And so what I'm hearing is, like, confidence is not something that's just gonna be like, okay, today I want to be confident. It's a journey, and it does take work. Yeah. It's not something that you have to self-reflect. You have to sit down, like you said, take the inventory, and really take a moment and be like, okay, where do I want to be?
Yeah. You know what? Confidence is a decision. It is not an emotion. So I decide that I'm going to be confident, because on the inside, I may feel totally different. Right. But when I walk in that room, when I'm going for that business, when I'm going forward in front of look, I need to show up. God has called us to show up fully, bright in all that he has equipped us with. So then I have made a decision that I am going to walk in my confidence, and I am not going to allow my emotions to determine, or my environment or other people to determine how I'm going to show up. I made a decision one day. I said, I'm not going to allow somebody to tell me how to show up, how to speak, how to be confident, how to take the step. No way. That's too much power for somebody else. I know who I am. Look, we have a connection right here. Right. And so I decided to take a hold of my future, accepting my past, looking and taking inventory of my present, and making steps and goals and moving forward to get to where I'm supposed to be. And if I need to pivot, I pivot. If I need to stop, I stop. If I fall, I get up. I say, what was the lesson that I learned? And then I won't do that again. Or either I'm going to tweak whatever it was that I had done, but I have decided that I would no longer allow that to stop me. And when I did that, I believe that the confidence began to come. And the decision to be confident comes because if I did it before and it worked out, or, then it'll happen again. And then I know it'll work out and it'll just build on itself and build on itself.
So good. And I just want to note for the audience, if you're watching this series, you'll see that a lot of our experts have spoken about failure. Failure is, sometimes we look at it as something as like, that's going to end our life, but no, failure builds you.
Yes.
Like Pastor Cheryl said, when you fail, you just get back up again and you try again.
Yes.
You evaluate what happened and why it happened, and then you move forward. So just note that that's a great nugget to take away from the series.
And then you say, that's it, right? It's all in how we define our situation. See, I refuse to define this situation as a pandemic, something that's going to stop me, as a crisis. If I define this pandemic as a crisis, that means that I'm not going to move forward. That means that I'm going to stop and I'm going to be stuck in where I am. But if I look at this pandemic as a crisis, then crisis in Chinese means opportunity. So that means I got opportunities all around in order to excel, in order to exceed. Out of this whole thing, I'm on webinars, writing the book, but I got special one-on-one time with my grandkids. I done created special songs for each one of them so they know they're special to Nana. They're singing it around. Who could have known that they would have been singing my song all around? Nana loves me. And they do the little song and dance. And that's the joy that I want them to feel. I don't want them to walk in fear. I want them to take this as an opportunity to say when it gets tough, when things happen, you still are right. You could still move forward. You just pivot. You just continue on. You take action steps to get where you want to get to. You don't stop. If you fall, you get back up and you keep going. And one day, I'm going to have this pottery that's right here that's looking, where you'll be able to see all the beautiful falls and cracks that have happened in your life, and how beautiful and how valuable it is, not just to you, but to those that you've called to speak into the lives of.
Yeah, that's good.
So good. So good.
So this is like sort of random, but when I hear pivot, I don't know if there's any like football fans, but I think about football, the guy that's holding the ball, the running back, and he's constantly pivoting, looking for a play to get through, to make a touchdown. And the other team is like opposing him, and they keep going until eventually he breaks through. And so I feel like what you're saying and about life's journey is like the goal is always to get to the finish line. And sometimes you have to make pivots, and sometimes something may ram up against you, but you got to keep going. You got to take the ball to the end and get the score. So
right.
So I don't know, that triggered to me. Whoever that was for, that just triggered. So
that's where it comes from.
Yeah,
that's where it comes from. And so we have to learn how to pivot.
Yeah.
Those on a football field, they don't stop and cry.
No.
They have to make a decision, and they have to get going because they have a goal at the end of the line, right, that they're trying to get to in order to make that touchdown.
Yeah.
And so we haven't made that touchdown yet. We're still on this journey where we're trying to make a touchdown. And every time we have a victory, we're like, that is so great. But you know what? There is more.
Yeah.
There is more for someone else. And then if I stop, then that means that people around me, there's somebody who's not going to get what I have to give.
That's really good.
And we need to make sure that we just keep going and keep pouring into ourselves, keep pouring into other people, realizing that life is not about us. It is about other people.
Yeah.
Our light is to shine so that we can reflect the beauty in others, that they can see the light of God around in themselves, in the journey, in life. Because if we just stay stuck and looking at the darkness, we'll see nothing but the pandemic.
Yes.
Right. So good. So good. So just to bring it back just a little bit,
Sure.
the confidence that you have and that you have, I guess you attained in your life, how did that impact your relationships and then your career and where you're at now? And was there a difference when you weren't confident versus being confident?
Yeah.
You know what? I've stepped into my confidence early.
Okay.
And it's, let me change it. We can be confident in certain areas,
Yeah.
Yeah.
not necessarily confident all around. And so for me, I received my confidence when I went to school. As I was going through school and I received my education and I was moving forward, that's how I got my start early, right? So when I went to a junior college and then I went to a university, at the university, I was there with me and Irv. We were the new family student housing. I started an organization of the non-traditional students because of the need that I had. So there was something to me that God was starting to develop. That seed was starting to come. And then I went on and received my master's degree. And all of this is in psychology, social work, and administration. Again, I didn't even see how God was putting it all together. So sociology is the study of people. And then we have the psychology. And then we have the administration, how to put it all together. So all these things, as I was going to school and I was achieving my mini goals, which is what you're talking about. Confidence comes with mini goals. It's not now all of a sudden one day you're like, boom, it's there. And so how did it affect me? It allowed me to be non-negotiable. It allowed me to have relationships where I already knew where I was going because, again, I had the big goal. And if this person wasn't going there, oh, next, let's keep going. And then when it came to pastor, my confidence allowed me to allow him to be him and still be okay. To still go on a journey, still complete and go with what God has called me to come, while still celebrating and supporting him on his journey. And we can't always do that, right? But when you know who you are, when you have the tools, so my role is to support and to lift off as I continue on doing what God has called me to do. And it's intimidating. It has been intimidating in my past with some people, men and women. Because sometimes people are if you're not feeling as confident, people can pull back sometimes from those who are very confident. With men, they can misinterpret what that confidence is. And so, but when you get a confident man as well as a confident woman, you don't have to worry about it. You don't have to worry. But if you're not there, then you go ahead and get the tools and you get coaching, and then you move to the next step. That's identifying where there's a deficit, and then you just pour into it, keep pouring by studying, devotion, personal work on yourself, and then you keep moving forward. You just don't stop. So it has hindered a little, but it's all right. I made the right decisions.
You gotta keep going. You gotta keep pushing through. And I think most importantly, the thing that I hear you saying is like it's a ever evolving journey.
Yes.
It's not like you learn something and you stop, like you're leveling. So you have to continue pouring in. You have to continue being a student. And learning, and that's so important as you go along this journey, that you do have to continue learning, you do have to continue evolving, and with that comes more nuggets of confidence to go on to the next thing and go on to the next thing. So that's a golden nugget there. So we've talked about so many things. We've talked about your values, building your brand, where you started, where you are, where you're going, your personal style, how that's played into, you owning who you are. So our final question is, what does it mean to truly own who you are?
It means everything. I love that. Because own means to take possession of. That's like owning who you are. This is who I am. This is my truth. This is my transparency. I believe in being transparent. So I own every situation that I've gone through. I own everything, that the good, the bad, and the ugly, because it got me right here. And then my image is, who am I portraying or presenting to other people? and I'm presenting who I am. It doesn't change. So see, when you don't change, when you know who you are, it doesn't change. You don't have to go in out different environments like, oh, I need to put this hat on today to be this person or that hat on to be someone else. You are just who you are, with every flaw, every quirk, every boldness, every whatever it is that makes you you. And so for me, I believe that owning my own image is powerful because I want to own truth. I want to own being fierce. I want to own being a woman of God. I want to own being full of courage and boldness because God has called me to educate, equip, and inspire wholeness in the life of women. If I'm not bold and courage and full of and courageous, then they're not going to listen to me. We are both going to be over here sad and sitting on the side of the road.
Right.
But you know, there's a voice that needs to happen, and it's just not my voice. I want other voices. And one of the reasons why I have the coaching is because I believe that as a result of people participating in my coaching program, that they will eradicate self-sabotaging beliefs. They will begin to walk in the confidence that they have, and they will be able to learn steps and tools to walk into their future with boldness and confidence. And what I'm looking for are people who are ready to say yes to a world, a brand new world of possibilities, a brand new world of yes, experiencing things that they've never experienced before, and still saying, yes, I'm ready to go forward. I'm gonna jump in afraid, but hold my hand and we're gonna walk in this thing together, and we're gonna conquer our future.
That's good.
That's good. That's very powerful. You are a woman of much wisdom, and
thank you, you guys.
we are super excited to have you speaking into the lives of us and our audience today.
Yes.
So as we conclude, how can everyone keep up with you? What is your...
Wonderful. You guys, I would love for those who are watching to just follow me on Facebook. You have Cheryl Verrett at Facebook, but I'm going to ask you, go to my business page. I'm already maxed out at 5,000 on my personal. So go to my business page and follow me. That's where you can see where I'm going to minister, where I'm going to have my next workshops and the different classes. I would love for you to be on this journey with me, to be a part of the tribe that God has called us to be fierce, slaying, wonderful women of God going forward and just taking a hold of our future. And then you can follow me on Instagram, Cheryl Verrett at Instagram, and just see what's going on there. And let me be a part of your journey. I'm looking for women who are ready to say yes. Who do you guys know? Type your name in the box so then I can follow you, or follow me on Instagram. I'm also on LinkedIn and Instagram. Several ways to connect with me, and I would love to be a part of your life.
Amazing. Thank you so much for all of your wisdom, all of your gems, everything that you poured into us. We look forward to speaking to you soon. Thank you.
Thank you.
Christine DeShante, I am honored. I'm so glad that I was here to be a part of this journey. And I just can't wait to see how this whole thing comes together, and how all the nuggets and how people are going to be empowered and inspired because they listen to this webinar that you guys put together, that you're equipping the women of the people of the nation to go forward, because this is going worldwide. Yes. So I am excited to be a part of the journey. And I just want to tell you guys, if you're looking for stylists, these are the people you want to make sure that you hire. I got to tell you, I've watched the journey. I see who they have styled. I watch all their pictures and how when they went to New York, and the different various magazines that they've had their articles written in, and they are beautiful people. So not only do they have information, but they're beautiful inside and out. So if you're looking for a stylist, a creative stylist, then K&D Styles is definitely the way to go.
Thank you for that amazing plug.
Yeah. We'll see.
I love you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Okay. Bye, you guys.